Laura is back on this episode of Sailing Doodles, where we jump on a brand new Bavaria C45 and sail around Thailand. We have a Island Spirit Catamaran with us on the same voyage. Stay tuned to the end of the video where we interview Phil with Island Spirit about what it's like to charter. I'd like to thank Group Island Spirit for this next series of videos. They supplied the boats we are sailing in the flotilla. Island Spirit is a yacht manufacturer and charter company, and they have some amazing destinations with over 40 boats in Thailand in both the Gulf side and the Phuket area. They manufacture the Island Spirit 410, which is a 41-foot catamaran with 4 cabins and 2 heads and an open salon area. So if you're interested in buying an Island Spirit or chartering with them, visit groupislandspirit.com. We are back in Koh Chang, Thailand with Group Island Spirit, sailing on a brand new Bavaria. What do you think of the boat?
I feel spoiled.
Yeah, we'll take you on a tour of the boat a little bit later. Right now we're getting off the dock. James is getting us off the dock. So he, kind of the way they do it here is he helps us get off the dock and then he takes the dinghy ashore and we're on our own.
We have dinghy.
Yeah.
Turn us loose.
So the other boat in the flotilla is straight up there. Yeah. That is the Island Spirit 410. And our crew member with us here is Rob. Howard. So, thank you for coming aboard.
Yeah, glad to be
Thanks for
here.
sailing with us. And so are you looking forward to the sail?
Oh, totally. Been looking forward for months.
Woo.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So today, it's already in the afternoon here, so it's kind of getting a late start. We're just going to go about 5 or 6 miles down to a place called Kauai, anchor there, and we'll spend the evening, get some adult beverages on the beach, and have a good time.
Start working on that tan.
We got a whole week of sailing going.
Amen.
All right.
Babe, is it just like driving a bike?
Just like driving a bike. I like this. Feels great. They're pulling up our fenders. We're heading out. There's the rest of the Island Spirit fleet. Right there. James and the guys helped us get off the dock, and then they loaded up in the dinghy and headed back. All right, guys. Thank you.
Have fun.
The Island Spirit Catamaran was not far behind us. This is a brand new Bavaria C45. We were one of the first to sail it, even still had the scratch stickers on it. How's the sail look?
It looks good. Looks like for pros.
Really not much wind out there, probably about 6 or 7 knots, and it's about 45 degrees off apparent anyway. So we're not getting a whole lot of help from it, but why not? I mean, hey, first day you gotta put a sail up. Guys, it's a new crew, new friends, and back on the water.
Back on the water.
There you go. An ice cold beer. Ice cold beer. Wow.
Ice cold is good.
That's really cold. It was only about 4 miles south from Koh Chang down to Kauai directly into the wind, so it was a nice little hour-long motor. All right, so first thing is cocktails on the other boat. So I'm gonna drop them off. I've still got to edit and work a little bit, and I'll do it.
Got it. Hey babe, are you taking me to pre-happy hour? We're winning.
Right.
We got our swimsuits, and we came out, we saw you guys swimming, we're like, how fast can we get over?
Ah, crap. Ah, motor died, sorry. Okay. It was a beautiful spot for our first night at anchor. So today we're going out on a charter boat, and kind of we thought we would give you guys what a feel of what it's like to actually charter and that whole process, what it has, and how you do that. So we're here with Phil. He's one of the owners of Group Island Spirit, and you kind of run the day-to-day operations, basically.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And so so tell us a little bit about your charter base here and how many boats you have.
We have 12 boats, which is not a big charter company. If you're in the Caribbean or something, they might have 100 boats.
Right. Yeah. So, well, I mean, you've got you just got a new charter base over in Phuket, though. You have a bunch over there. How many do you have over there?
24, I believe.
24. Yep. Okay. And so a lot of people want to charter, but maybe they don't think they have the experience, or they don't know how. So can you kind of explain to us, how people get started and how do they find your company and stuff?
There's two primary ways on the web, Google. A lot of people just find us on Google, looking for somewhere to charter. And then there's agents. I think agents are more common probably in Europe.
Okay.
They help out a lot with language and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so what is the booking process? I mean, so they get in. So with you guys, they actually email you and you start talking about dates and all that.
Yeah.
And so how do they do the payments and how do they arrange all that?
Okay, so I think most companies are similar. When you want to make a booking, when you want to firm up that booking, you need to pay a deposit.
Right.
That's generally, it can be up to 50%. I think for us it's 25%.
Okay.
And then the remainder of your payment is due. With us, it's 1 month before you go. That's a variable too across different companies. It can get up to 3 months.
So before we get into the whole arrival process and everything, a lot of people wonder, do they have enough experience? And that varies per. I mean, like in the United States and the Caribbean, you don't actually need any certifications, but a lot of places you do.
Yeah, it's a complicated one. We would prefer to have somebody with a qualification. Could be your country's yacht license, small boats license, or the international ones like IYT, International Yacht Master, RYA, is it ASA in the States. That's great, a qualification. But if people can demonstrate their sailing experience, they own a boat or they've chartered in other destinations, that works too. So we don't actually need a qualification, but we do need to qualify you to be able to say to our insurance company that we reviewed your experience and we deemed you qualified.
So somebody can just do a sailing resume, basically, and on that, what do you want to see on a sailing resume? Because I've done that before. I've chartered and they say, send me your sailing resume. I'm like, I mean, do you want my work history? I mean, what do you know?
Yeah. You said the same thing to me. Send me your sailing resume, and I was like, what?
Yeah. I guess once you've chartered once before and you've had to do that, and you've got one, right?
Right.
But yeah, it's not very difficult. You can say I've owned a yacht this size, it was there, and I did these miles, that sort of thing. A narrative, if you like.
Okay.
That would work just fine. Once you do have a qualification, typically that the qualifying company will give you a logbook, and you keep a logbook. So logbooks are good to keep, particularly if you want to rent a boat.
Right. Right.
The other thing is to do it, to get a qualification. It's if you've already got miles, you basically can do it. You're a skipper already. To go and get your qualification, it's basically a 5-day course, and you'll get an international ticket.
Right.
So if you're really planning on doing chartering on a regular basis, that'd be a good idea.
Okay. All right. So they booked and they paid their deposit. Now it's time to show up. What's the arrival process like?
Yes, well, hopefully you've received a lot of information about how to get there, and you've read it.
Right.
Most companies, it's your obligation to get to the base, and you meet them at a specified time. With a small company like us, we meet and greet you at the gate sort of thing, and we help you down with your bags and help you with the provisioning and all that kind of stuff. I'd imagine when there's a lot more boats around, it's pretty much up to you. Call into the office, do your paperwork and go down to the boat. But at some point there would be a briefing.
Okay.
I think no matter how big the company, it'd be a briefing. With us, we spend about 2 hours on a briefing.
Okay.
The first hour is an area briefing, so we have a lovely cruising guide that we go through and basically run through all the anchorages and where you can go, weather, what sort of weather they should expect, and picking the right anchorages for that weather. We're in a tidal area, so we go through tides. That can be a bit scary if you haven't sailed in a tidal area before. And then we dive down onto the boat and we spend about an hour on the boat and go over anchoring, where the circuit breaker is, where the gas is, where the water tanks are, pretty much how to operate the boat from head to tail. We don't actually take people out and do a sail around. I understand some companies do that, but we don't really think that's necessary.
Now, if, say, someone just maybe they don't feel comfortable with it, can they start off hiring a captain either for the whole week or maybe just for a few days until they get comfortable on the boat?
Yeah, you could. It rarely happens.
Okay.
But we could do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now they're out there having a good time. God forbid something bad happens. You run aground or whatever.
Right.
What happens?
Well, we do have a charter contract, and every company has a charter contract, and they're generally quite a few pages long, and they spell out what happens there.
Right.
And of course, there's lots of things that potentially could go wrong, right? I mean, perhaps when you arrive here, the boat's not ready, so the contract covers. What do we do then? We put you in a hotel, who pays for that sort of thing. It covers all the things you should and shouldn't do, so generally it'll specify clearly what the cruising grounds are, where the boundaries are. For instance, for us, you can't go to Cambodia.
Right.
That would be a bad thing.
Yeah.
It discusses what you can and can't do. So there's some things that perhaps might not come to mind, but you can't actually bring people onto the boat that you don't know. You know, you might meet a nice couple on the beach and say, hey, you want to go sailing with us? And you can't really do that. And there's reasons for that because you don't really know who they are, right?
Right.
You can't smuggle drugs, clearly.
Okay.
No smuggling of drugs. Also, you can't drive the boat intoxicated.
Right.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I bet human trafficking is one of them.
Yeah, human trafficking, we're not keen on that either.
There's a lot of advertising for that.
That's why I like to, if I'm on a charter boat, I mean, human trafficking is bad. I'm just saying.
You trafficked me here.
I did, yeah, basically. No, but like, yeah, that's why I do the sailing in the morning, and then, you get to where you're going by lunch, and then you can have a few cocktails.
Yeah. Yes.
Enjoy it. So a big thing about chartering is provisioning. So I guess there's a couple options there. They do it on their own, or do you help?
Yeah, we can do it. And that's often a good decision because you waste quite a lot of time, particularly here. It takes an hour to get to where you can provision from here and then an hour to get back. I think you have some experience with that, right?
It's a good trip around there.
And it's nice just to get to your boat. You know, you've traveled halfway around the world. You don't really want to go to a supermarket. Or even what a lot of people do is they'll pick a bunch of stuff from our provisioning list, all the bulky stuff, all the dry stuff, the obvious stuff, and then they'll drop by a supermarket and swing around and see what there is. Maybe they pick up some nice salami or some blue cheese or whatever the things they like, that might not be on our list. I mean, the big mistake that, to be honest with you, most people make, even me, I've just provisioned your boats, I've probably made the same mistake, is we buy too much.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
For a couple of reasons. It's generally much nicer to go eat ashore. Beautiful restaurants, and around here it's not particularly expensive.
Yeah.
And also, people don't eat a lot on boats. Even people that don't get seasick, I think your appetite goes down a little bit. You're just not eating all the time. So, don't buy too much.
Probably those beers.
Yeah.
I call them meal replacements.
Yeah, the meal replacements. Yeah, the liquid lunch. Yeah.
Well, that is one thing that a lot of people don't. If they're thinking about they've come here to charter versus going to the Caribbean or something, okay, it's longer time to get here for most Americans, and maybe your flight is probably not much cheaper, honestly, than going to the Caribbean, but dining ashore and meals and stock provisioning is way more expensive in the Caribbean.
I'd imagine. I've never been there, but I'd imagine it's quite expensive.
I mean, you eat a meal here, it's like $2 or $3.
Yeah, you're paying like in US dollars or EC versus.
Yeah.
It can get a little bit expensive here depending on where you go.
Yeah.
But you can get by pretty cheaply. I guess from my perspective, for people thinking about chartering a boat if they've never really chartered a boat before, it's probably quite daunting, the whole task of going somewhere you've got no idea, and it's probably a bit scary, navigating and all that. But I think what most people find is the act of navigating in a place that you've never been before is actually no different to navigating in the area that you do know. You still have to navigate, right? You've still got to make sure you don't hit rocks. You're looking at the GPS, whether it's in the Caribbean or the US or Australia or Thailand, it's all the same. You've got it. So it's not as, I think most people find it a lot easier than what they kind of thought. They've never done it before. Yeah.
Okay, so they've gone out there, and you guys actually, because last time we had some issues with our dinghy, and you just sent guys out in a little speedboat and came out and worked on it.
Yeah, I think every charter company has on the water support.
Right.
I think it's mandatory. So yeah, you're not out there by yourself in the middle of nowhere. You're not having to go down and change an impeller yourself. It's your job to employ good seamanship and good decision making and all that kind of stuff. But if something goes wrong, there's going to be somebody there to come and help you out.
Right. Okay. All right, so they've gone out, had a good time, and they're on their way back now. I mean, what do you do on the way back?
Okay, so we didn't talk about that, but there is a security deposit for the boat.
Okay.
The way we do that, we swipe the card. We do it. I can't remember what you call it. You don't actually withdraw from the card, but we block it.
Put a hold on it.
Yeah, put a hold on it. So when you come back, here we fuel the boat ourselves and we water the boat ourselves. We do that.
Okay.
But I think in bigger companies where you're in a marina, you actually have to go to the fuel dock, fill it up, like a rental car.
Yeah.
Right? You go fill it up, fill up the water tanks, and then we will go and inspect the boat. We don't do a big kind of search. We do a bit of a look around to make sure there's no other anomalies, and then we sit and do a debriefing, and we have a debriefing checklist. We just ask the clients. For us, it's the best opportunity we have to get feedback on issues with the boat. That's what we're really looking for. We rarely get out to go sailing on the boat, so that information, that feedback is wonderful. So that's it. It's a sit down, go through problems they've had. If there is stuff missing or there's damage to the boat, then there's a bit of a negotiation on how we do that. And in some cases, we may deduct an amount from the security deposit to pay for any damages. Probably the most significant one would be a lost dinghy,
Right.
because they're quite expensive.
Yeah.
Generally, they cost more than what the security deposit is, so you're going to lose a whole lot.
Yeah. What kind of security? What kind of? I mean, so. Yeah, what security deposit do you normally require?
I think on the boat you're about to jump on, it's $4,000. So that's your total liability, if you like.
Right.
Yeah. Other issues, lost knives and forks, we don't charge for that.
Right.
So,
Sweet.
don't go losing one.
Yeah, no.
Don't go losing one.
She's not going to do dishes. She's just going to throw them over.
Yeah.
This is how you catch a barracuda. You showing silverware on the water.
Yeah, you set me up more dishes, we're finished.
Okay, is there anything else you want to add towards this stuff?
I think that gives people a bit of an idea.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for kind of giving us an idea what it's like. Now you're going to go over our briefing.
Yeah, we're going to do all that.
Yeah. So we've sailed in the area, so I'm somewhat familiar, but it's always good to get more information on where to go. What to do.
Do a boat briefing.
And we get some different winds to deal with this time.
We
right?
do, southwesterlies. Anyway.
All right. We're going to do our briefing now. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks again to Group Island Spirit for supplying these boats for the week we're sailing in Thailand. It's a pretty amazing place to go charter. And thank you so much to our patrons. We could not do this without you.